Well, I think we will get started.
What does it take to become a principal or a leader?
I think the YouTube remained on. No worries. Welcome everyone. While the folks will keep joining, we will get started in. I just wanted to make sure, is my voice echoing, Shuchi, or is it all okay?
It's good for me.
It's good. Okay, awesome. Great. Welcome everybody. Today we have our guest Shuchi Maheshwari with us, right? So Shuchi is going to talk about business management and her professional journey. We will come to that. For those who are new to SoftClay, and I see some of the new names here, let me quickly revise. Just 1 minute, tell you what SoftClay is and what we are going to do here today. And then I'll go ahead and introduce our guest, Shuchi, right? So as you might know, SoftClay is a platform for teenagers to understand different careers. You can say that to test drive different careers before they even choose what career they want to go into. And our app is available on Play Store and App Store. It's called SoftClay. You can download it and you can start experiencing careers ranging from law to design to business management to engineering and many more. So and the videos that we played were a glimpse of what the app offers. I'll keep sending links and we'll do all of that. But without much delay, let's start our webinar. So, people are still joining. Okay, so Shuchi is an IIT Delhi alumni. She graduated from IIT Delhi, did her engineering, and then realized that she didn't want to do engineering and went into business management. So she was a management consultant, spent a lot of years at Bain and Company, was part of the Indian education startup ecosystem, was working as the operations lead at White Hat Junior. And now she's doing her MBA at Wharton University of Pennsylvania, one of the topmost MBA colleges in the world. Welcome, Shuchi. Very glad to have you. Right, we have a lot of questions for you, which we will come to. But why don't we just start with a little bit of your professional journey, and then we will take over to the questions that we have. Just before that, I also want to set down certain rules. So you can switch on the cameras if you like, but please be silent. Be muted so that we don't have a lot of disturbance. And whenever you have a question, please type it out in the chat. We will keep taking it during the webinar as well. But we will also keep the last 15 minutes of the webinar, for the Q&A, right? So people can just type it out their questions or wait till the end for the Q&A section. Over to you, Shachi.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Swati, for having me. And I'm so glad to be speaking with all of you today. As Swati introduced, my name is Shuchi. I actually grew up in Delhi, in India. Technically Faridabad, but for all practical purposes, Delhi. I went to IIT Delhi to do my BTech in chemical engineering. And while I liked chemical engineering, I also felt that, I wanted to experience the business side of things more, and I thought I would probably enjoy that more. And at that time, Bain and Company and other consulting firms used to come for campus placements. And consulting sounded very exciting to me because it gave me the experience to work across different industries. So I worked across automotive, healthcare, pharmaceutical, all of those industries. And I was at Bain as a management consultant for 3 years. I think at the end of 3 years, I wanted to sort of experience, particularly being in a technology company, because I realized that I really liked using technology to do things. And so wanted to be in a technology company and joined White Hat Junior as an operations lead. And happy to share my experience regarding, the operations experience that I had at White Hat in the next few minutes. And then finally, I thought then while I like tech, I really wanted to experience tech, in a different country as well, and so decided to pursue my MBA from Wharton, and here I am. I moved to the US last year, and I hope to graduate in next year in 2023. So that's a little bit about my background. Swati, if you want me to cover something else, happy to do that.
No, we will cover a lot of things. So nothing for now. But you know what, Shaji, how we will run this webinar is that I have a bunch of questions that we have collated from students who've registered for the webinar, right? So we will take those questions one by one. And while you are giving those answers, if people have questions, they can put it out in the chat box and we will keep taking those as well. Yeah?
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
So I think we've already covered about the journey till date. But tell us a little bit about what does it mean to lead operations, right? So we understand that there is a bigger business management bucket, right? Like if you're running a company, you're running a business, and within a business, you have marketing, you have operations, you have sales. So just help us understand what really operations means.
Right. So, the way I would sort of define operations is that, let's say a company wants to do something. So I'll take an example of, let's say a company wants to expand to a different geography. I am in an Indian based company, and now I want to expand to, let's say, Mexico, right? So the overall strategy, as we call it, would be to expand to Mexico. But what an operations person would do would think about how do we expand to Mexico, right? So whether it means that, okay, we need to, set up some customer support system to make sure that, we are able to speak in Spanish, because Mexico is primarily a Spanish based country. People only speak Spanish there. And so, like, hiring the right customer support agents who can speak Spanish, hiring the right teachers. For example, if you're doing you're running a business which is an ed tech business where you are hiring teachers to teach students, so hiring Spanish teachers. Or maybe like, okay, what is the calling system we should use to call our customers? What are the emails that we should create to make sure that we are reaching out to our Mexican user base? Anything and everything that will help the company expand to Mexico would be part of like the operations business. So so in a nutshell, that is how I would explain it, that you have like directionally that this is what you want to achieve, but answering the how of, how you will achieve that, and leading, projects end to end to make sure that you are able to expand to Mexico is what an operations lead would really do.
Yeah. And Shachi, I'll just add on to what you're saying, right? So you're talking about an edtech company, but if I just talk about a Flipkart or an Amazon, right? I'm assuming what the operations so me ordering as a customer is one thing, but the whole process of taking the order and making sure the dress is getting delivered from the manufacturer to the warehouse to finally my home is responsibility of the operations department, right? And we're just making sure
Yeah,
that the right product is getting delivered in the right package within the right time. That all
correct.
comes under operations. Yeah. So the other question I have is, what skill set does one need to be succeeding in an operations role?
Yes. So as you alluded to earlier, Swati, that making sure that the execution happens end to end. The skill set that you use. So the way I would explain it is, you have to make sure that anything that you're wanting to do is gets executed. And so there are two main skills that I think you should be using. One is you need to have a lot of detail orientation, because there are so many things that go behind, like making sure that, let's say, the product is reaching the customer, right? Your delivery agent is in place. So one is you need to be very detail oriented, to be on top of every single thing that needs to go in. So you need to be following up with people on time. You have to make sure that the deadlines are being met. So just being very good at organization and being very detail oriented is very important. The other thing is that in an operations role, you have to speak with a lot of people in different teams. So you will be speaking with the product team, you will be speaking with the sales team, you will be speaking with the customer support team. So there are a lot of teams that you interact with, and so it is very important for you to have those people skills or those interpersonal skills which allow you to manage those relationships well, and making sure that when even people are not directly reporting to you, they are aligned with, or they basically understand what you're wanting to do, and are able to do their responsibilities, and in a setup where basically you're speaking with a lot of people, and hence, like, having good people management skills, or having good skills or relationship building skills with different people is very, very important.
So I think in nutshell, what you're saying is that one, you need to be a people's person, which means good communication skills and just the ability to work with other people, right? So if you are somebody who
Yeah,
likes to work just on your own, you may not enjoy operations, right? Because it's a
yeah,
teamwork. And then second, you are saying you need to be very, very detailed oriented, which means you can't be the person who's only thinking at a high level. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We need to expand in Mexico. Yeah, we will do it, but you
yeah,
need to be the person who needs to think 10 years deep and say, hey, what does that mean? Does that mean I need to have Spanish teachers? Does that mean I need to have Spanish customer agents? What does that mean in terms of my people on in the office? What kind of people I need? All of that, right? So 10 layers down than just
yeah.
the strategy. Okay, fair, fair. Help us understand, what does your day look like in an operations lead role?
Yeah, I think this is probably the hardest question to answer, because there is no single day which is like another day. And so, every single day could literally be doing different things. One is like you are trying to understand a problem, right? So I remember there was one time that we were facing a lot of downtime, like our systems completely stopped working, and then there was no one, like students could not take classes, and we were unable to figure out that why students are not able to take classes, etc. And so one is just problem solving, trying to understand, oh, what went wrong, where is it that which system stopped working, or are teachers not available, what is the real issue. So one is just the problem solving bit, that you're trying to understand what went wrong, etc. The other is a lot of project management. So when I say project management, is it means that basically I know that, let's say, I have to expand to Mexico. So I know that there are maybe two tasks that I have to do. One, I need to make sure that I have the right customer support agents. And second, I need to make sure that I have the right teachers. So, following up with, let's say, the teacher onboarding team. Let's say if you have 5 people who are just working on, interviewing teachers and admitting them, talking to them and understanding if they are facing some issues. Then maybe they say that, like, we are not getting enough teachers, and like not enough teachers are showing up. So then you work with the marketing team to release an ad and tell them that, hey, we are hiring teachers, for example. And so really, like, anything and everything to make sure that, let's say, you are able to achieve your objective of, let's say, expanding into Mexico is sort of your day. So it can mean like speaking with people, it can mean trying to problem solve, it can mean just like I don't know, like catching up with different teams, because then you need to understand what those teams are doing. So yeah, every day is a different day, and every day you're solving sort of a different challenge in operations.
Yeah, but Shruti, help us understand tactically, right? I understand you talked about solving a problem, right? But what does that mean? Does that mean you're sitting and making documents? Does that mean you're meeting people all the time? Does that mean you're calling customers? Tactically, what does it mean?
Yeah, so it can be a lot of things. One is, let's say, if you're it can mean you can talk to customers. So one is like, it depends on the problem statement. Firstly, like, what is the issue that has come in, and there are different ways to solve the same problem. So let's say if I know that the system is not working, so maybe I look at some data. So we have like we have data that is being captured, and then you go to a database and you look at the data and you see whether there is some metric that is not that some okay. So like, you look at some data and you try to understand whether that from the data you are able to figure out
Why
why
don't you take
something
an
is not
example?
working.
I think that will help us. Why don't you just take
Yeah.
an example of something that went wrong and how you went around, solving it?
Yes. So I think okay, let's take this example, right? So we were trying to understand that why is it that we are getting so many customer queries, right? So our question was that, why are we getting so many customer queries, and what can we really do to make sure that all customers, like, do not need to necessarily call our company and ask for specific guidance, right? So what I did was, I basically analyzed 100 customer queries. I went to my system, which is called Zendesk. I went to the system, I picked up 100 queries, and then I tried to understand that what is the issue that every customer is facing. So for example, one customer said that, I really like the class, but nobody from my team called, from your team even called me. So when someone has taken a class, the other thing that White Hat, for example, had to do was to call the customer and ask them if they wanted to, enroll in the classes if they liked it, and they were not getting this call. So we wanted to understand, why is that happening? Whether it is because our team does not even know that they took the class, or whether our team just forgot to call the customer back. And so what we did was that I said that, hey, this customer complained that they did not get a call at all. And so I worked with the sales team. I went to the sales team and I asked them that, why did we not call this customer? And I realized that this was the responsibility of calling the customer was with one sales manager who was new, and he did not even know that he had to call the customer back. And so we realized that, oh, we need to train these new managers. These sales managers do not know, that they have to call back when this customer comes in. And we did a lot of training sessions with them. We created like a standard operating procedure, so like a process that, when a customer calls, you call them back, and this is what you tell them. You tell them that, this is our course, this is our pricing, this is why we think you should enroll in our class, and all of that. So just trying to understand what went wrong with the entire process, through like analyzing data, through speaking with the sales team, etc., etc. And that is practically what you really do. Speak with people to understand what went wrong, analyze data to understand what went wrong, and if needed, talk to customers to understand really what went wrong.
Got it. So basically, whatever is going wrong in the company, you go figure it out, and then whatever is needed to implement the solution, you do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what you are talking about is probably a role which you did probably 4 years out of your college, right, or 5 years out of your college. What would an operations head do? Like, how would the role evolve in the future?
Yes. So I think when you are very young, like when you have 2 or 3 years of operations experience or 4 years of operation experience, you typically tend to focus on one project. So, for example, my one project was to set up a customer support arm for White Hat Junior, for example. But as I would like gain, like I would get promoted, I will like work for 2-3 more years and I'll get promoted. My role would evolve in a way that I will be handling 2 to 3 projects at the same time. So, for example, I might have like other people who are reporting to me who are individually handling one of those projects, but then my job will become guiding those people as to this is what you do. Like, for example, if Swati, you were reporting to me, it will be my job to understand what are the issues that you are facing, and to guide you through as to how you can go forward from there, based on whatever issue you're facing. And the other thing that I think as a head of operations we do is the data set, like the data that you look at is at a very, very you just try to understand at an overall level, at a company level, what is going wrong, and you try to figure out that okay, this particular team, we need to sort of work with to make sure that this particular issue is solved. So basically your scope or your projects keep expanding. And let's say first, if you were working just with the sales team, eventually you will start working with different teams. You will start working with product, you'll start working with sales, you'll start working with customer support. So your role sort of keeps growing and growing, and that's how the role evolves in the future.
And I'm assuming, and that as you grow, you are more of managing people like you rather than you actually going to the customer and talking to the customer. You're probably guiding the team and telling them, hey, go talk to 100 customers, come back with insights, and then let's discuss what insights you have and see, what needs to be implemented. So you're just managing the team and making sure things are done, right? Also, you mentioned observing the data, right? I'll give my inputs and then you can add, but I'm assuming that the kind of data you will look at it as an operations person, let's say in White Hat Junior, is that you would look at for example, the number of classes that happened in the day. And was it higher than your previous week, or did it suddenly go down, right? And if it went down, then you would go to the second layer and ask, hey, did it go down because there was no student demand and not many students wanted to take the classes because, hey, it was a Diwali break? Or would you say that maybe the demand was there, but we did not have the teachers, right? And if we did not have the teachers, then we lost out on the business, because ideally student wanted to take a class, but we couldn't provide it. And hence, as an operations, it's my failure. And I need to increase the number of teachers that I have, right? That's how you would go.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. How did you decide that you wanted to be in operations?
I actually got a lot of joy by seeing, being very hands-on with doing things. Like, I love talking to people. I love making sure that whatever I'm aiming to get implemented, like anything, right? Like after 2-3 days of working closely with different teams, when you see something coming to life or some action that you want to do and it gets implemented and it affects so many people, I think that gave me a lot of joy, and which is why I decided I wanted to be in operations. In other words, I would say that my presence sort of made the life around made the life easier for people around me, just because I was there, and that's why I decided to just like want to be in operations.
and probably you like getting things done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like getting things done, which is why, the life
and
of
and
people are
that's
outside.
how it's easier. Okay.
Yeah.
For those people who have questions, I'm looking at the chat, so I know there's one question till now, and we will pick that up. But in case there are others as well, just keep putting it out in the chat box. Tell us, how can teens experience what operations people do?
Yeah, so one of the easiest ways to sort of experience that is, let's say, if you are organizing your own birthday party, right? And if you're organizing your own birthday party, you are deciding whether what is the guest list, right? Who do you want to invite? Then you, let's say, create like a card or a poster to invite people, and you send it out to the different people that you want to invite. So ensuring end to end that your party is a success is in some sense like what an operations person would do. And as a teenager, if you can make sure that your event is successful, your birthday party is attended by a lot of people and people have a lot of fun, I think you can actually experience what an operations person would do in a company, for example.
Yeah, and probably if you like doing that, then you're saying that you would like being in operations. You would like being in
Yeah.
operations role, right? Because if you're
Yeah.
liking all the hustle of creating those cards, sending it out, making sure the food is there, making sure the DJ guy is there, and you're liking arranging all of that, and within that chaos, then probably you would love being in the operations department and leading.
Absolutely. And let's say if you realize that, oh, there is no DJ, the DJ you wanted to come is not there, then you reach out to five other DJs and figure out, how do you, you ask them for their quotes, you ask them for their prices, you see if they have performed at other parties and how did they perform, like whether they were good, whether they were bad. So just the hustle of, putting everything together and making sure your party is a massive success. If you enjoy doing that, I would say you would probably enjoy doing operations as well.
Okay, that's a good one. Another way of how teens can experience operations is, easier than that, easier than organizing a party, I would say, is just going on the SoftClay app and picking the operations module and just doing the challenges there, right? Where sometimes you role play as a Mintra operations head, or sometimes you role play as other companies operations heads, and do those challenges to see if you're liking to do those challenges. Awesome. Let's move on to the next question, which is, what educational qualifications one has to follow?
Yeah, so operations typically is a business falls under the business administration degree. So if you have a bachelor's in business administration or a master's in business administration, for example, I am doing an MBA right now. That is the perfect educational qualification, for an operations role.
Got it. And would you say you could do it before bachelor, like just after your bachelor's as well?
Yes, so like an MBA, you can. So firstly, like a lot of people also just learn by doing on the job, and so if you end up in an operations role at any company, obviously that will train you quite a bit. But I think if you pursue your MBA, if you formally want to understand what operations looks like, you can always pursue your MBA after bachelor's.
Okay. Now that you're talking about that operations as part of business management, right? There is a question which is that from Titesh saying, what skills would you need to be a business person, right? So I know you've answered on the operations side, but I think he's asking a little bit larger question on just the business. So I think it'll be helpful from you to just understand what skills do you need in MBA to be a successful MBA, let's say.
Yeah, so I think the skills that you sort of need to succeed, and this is sort of, if I understand the question correctly, you're sort of asking what it takes to be a good CEO, because a business, like a CEO would oversee like all parts of the business, right? So I would say, I think the first skill that you need is like some sense of business acumen, like in the sense that when I say business acumen, what I really mean is that you have to be able to identify that this is something that let's say, the broader world needs, the customer needs, and also identify that this is how we will solve that need, and this is how we will differentiate ourselves from the hundred other players that are doing the same thing. So one is just like, no, be having that business acumen to identify what is it that you want to do. And the second thing I think that frankly any business role needs is a lot of hustle. So you need to be a lot persistent. You need to basically figure things out on the go, that this is, so plan A is not working, so what do we do now? We go to plan B. Now plan B is not working, what do we do? Like plan C. So it's a lot of hustle and a very strong like execution skills, that you work with a lot of people and you make sure that whatever you plan to do is getting executed. So those are the two main skills that I think will be very, very important. But probably, Swati, you are better positioned to answer this right now, given that you're running your own business.
Absolutely.
So
No,
you
I
might.
mean you're right that I think one is just the smartness of thinking through of how to run my business, right? What will get the money in? How do you get how? For example, like when I run SoftClay, right? I think about what services will make students like SoftClay, right? What would they find valuable? And let's say webinars like this is one of the services that we provide, which students would find valuable. And then the second questions become what would the students pay for, right? Because the business would need revenues to come into, right? So our app, for example, is the way that we want students to pay for, right? And you can just try it out. And for those who are new and who do not know about the SoftClay app, I've put it out in the link if somebody wants to try. But that's how we think about, like just thinking about what will get the money into the business. And then second is, as Shuchi said, getting things done, right? Because you are managing a lot of people, and the ability to make sure that the people you're managing are able to do what they're required to do is all, I would say, is needed, right, from a business person. And I think, Titesh, if you're just trying to understand what skills are needed, right, I would say different. For a business person is a very broad term, because there are many areas in business. So you should probably just try and understand the different areas, which is marketing, operations, sales, finance, and they all require very different skills. And now if you want to understand what those areas are, etc., then just we can chat separately, and you can go on the software app and try it out. But do not just bucket everything related to business as one skill. That will not be fair. Yeah. Okay. If there are any other questions right now, I think please feel free to ask. We can take a break and you guys can ask the questions, or you can type it out in the chat box while we go to our favorite rapid fire time. So Shachi, in this rapid fire time, we ask you some silly but funny questions about your life, about your professional journey, and would love to see how you react to that. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, look
Yeah,
forward to it.
you look forward to it. Awesome. Okay, so my first question is, if you were not into business management, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a musician. I would probably be doing some concerts, hopefully, in front of a lot of people. But that's what probably I'd be doing.
Okay, and which if I can ask, which instrument do you play?
I actually play the piano, but I'm also a vocalist. So those are the two things that I do. And I don't know what would I would have been doing, but I would have probably just been in music.
Okay, that's super cool. What is one thing you love about your job?
Well, the ability to work with different sets of people and, somehow just make their lives easier. I think that's something that I really enjoy. And yeah, I genuinely feel that I love working with people and getting things done. And so that gives me a lot of joy.
Okay. What is one thing you hate or don't like about your job?
So one thing that I don't like about my job is the fact that, like, because as I mentioned, that you have to work with different people and often different people will have different points of view, and everyone wants that their point of view sort of gets implemented, and which is fair. But what happens is in that time frame, like it takes a lot of time sometimes to get everybody on the same page and align on this is what the plan of action should look like. So it can be a little bit of it can be a little bit challenging when there is a lot of conflict and you have to manage that conflict and navigate that conflict. And so those are times when I typically don't like my job, but most of the times I actually really like it. So that's how I would think about it.
And who is your role model in the professional world?
My role model is actually Indira Nui. I think she was for people who don't know her, like she was the CEO of PepsiCo, and she stepped down from the CEO role a few years back. But she is my role model because she did a lot of different things with Pepsi, and being a woman leader in this a very you find a very few women leaders, and that's why I really look up to her and would love to be someone like her at some point.
Awesome. And one piece of advice you would want to give to our audience?
Well, I think you guys are like very lucky that you can really do anything and everything that you want to do at this point. Like there are so many possibilities. And so I would just say that like try and understand what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And maybe take a career path that you think you will be happy in, because longer term, if you enjoy what you do, I think your life will feel a lot happier, and you will feel like, oh, can't wait to get back to work again. And that is a great place to be in. So just try to understand what you really want to do and what you're good at, and maybe take that decision of doing the right kind of degree, or doing doing things that will help you get there wherever you want to go.
If you can tell our audiences how they can do it.
Use the SoftClay app to understand, learn a little bit more about careers. But I actually really feel that you can benefit quite a bit by just learning a lot about, the different types of careers. And SoftClay is a great way to learn that. So absolutely use SoftClay.
Thank you. And I know you are in US, and you mentioned that you have been in US for the past 1 year because you're there for your MBA. What's your long-term plan? Do you want to be in US or India?
My long-term plan is definitely to be back home in India. My family is here, and I have never stayed so far away from my family ever. So I definitely want to go back to my family in India, and hopefully you will see me in leading some company at some point later on. That's the vision that I live my life with. But yeah, I definitely want to come back to India in the long run.
Okay, money or peace of mind? What would you choose?
Peace of mind, for sure.
Not
No, not for me personally. I think I genuinely get a lot of pleasure from the work that I do. And I feel money is sort of like a byproduct of you just enjoying the work. So if I were to choose between two, I would definitely prioritize my peace of mind over money.
Awesome. And what do you do on weekends?
Well, I actually do a lot of things. I love exploring food. I'm a big foodie. So I go to different cafes, different restaurants, try out different cuisines. That's something I do. I meet a lot of friends on the weekend. I play board games on the weekend. So this is just like a very casual, just going out and meeting friends. This is what I do on the weekends mostly.
Okay. No, that you've been a great support, Shachi, just helping us understand what operations is. Now I open the floor for questions and answers. I know, and getting the first question is always the most toughest one, and then it flows, right? So I'll wait for the audiences to put in the questions. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question. Or if you want to just type it out in the chat, then please feel free to do that, and we would take that question with Shuchi, right? So I would wait for that. Until then, probably I also have a list of questions that I'll ask you, Shuchi, but I'll give the first opportunity to our audience.
Oh, absolutely. Please feel free to ask questions. I think I'm very, very, yeah, I'm actually someone who's very, very candid. So I'm happy to help answer any questions, that might be coming to people.
While people are asking questions, let me ask you one question. Since you've seen different departments in a business, right? Which one do you think is the most exciting or the most important? Now, we understand you're from operations and you might answer that, but if you would just be very neutral and think through different departments, which one would you say is the most exciting?
Yeah, honestly, I think so. When I say different departments, from what I remember, I mean, there's definitely sales, there's operations, there's marketing, there is, yeah, sales, ops, marketing. I'm trying to think if there are other other
Finance.
departments.
Finance.
Finance is another one, yes, for sure. Then there's also some companies also have a strategy arm. So there are different roles that different departments play. I honestly think that I mean the ideal situation is to have like the all the departments, like the best, every department being super important. And maybe for any company to succeed, I would say like they need to be good in like at least 4 or 5 of those departments. I find operations to be the most exciting just because I like getting things done. But I think different kind of people can actually like different things. So if someone's very creative, they can actually like marketing quite a bit because you're building out ads, you're trying to understand how to communicate the same value proposition and through video or through making like I don't know a podcast or something like that. So you might actually find marketing to be very interesting. If you're someone who loves doing sales, like you like selling to people and you like influencing people, maybe sales is the right thing for you. But as a company, I would say like I particularly am very get things done kind of a person. So I like operations, but each department and every person should try and understand what they like to do. And you will find a different place for different kinds of skill sets, I would say.
Awesome.
मैं दे दूंगी
Yeah.
यार, नानू तो
That's
जाओ यार.
that's great. I haven't seen the audience is
ठीक
quite
है, मैं
shy
नोट दे
today,
दूंगी तो दे
so I
दूंगी.
haven't seen a lot of questions coming out in the chat box, which is not usually the case. But anyway, since if there are more questions, guys, feel free to ask, and Shruti and I will just hang out here. And if not, then feel free to drop off and go back and try the SoftClay app and see different business management careers on it and experience it yourself. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Thanks, everyone.